Hello again, this is CK7 again with another commentary for Disney vs. Nazi Villains Part 2 for Round 6. Starting with Ratcliffe vs. Admiral Zhao. Farlord Ozai starts his conquer of the Earth by starting to conquer England and to attack Ratcliffe. Nice to see Ratcliffe is finally in this series, that he's actually going to be doing something. And I noticed they're using footage from the second Pocahontas film, which is appropriate for this epic boat battle. And I also noticed you're using footage from The Little Mermaid of the ship being on fire and then exploding. And surprisingly, Ratcliffe lost. But he's not out of the war, of course. Alright. Jasper and Horus versus Hak Fu. Cruella meets up with Xanatos and both plan to get revenge on Cobra Commander. So, Cruella sends Jasper and Horus to obtain a talisman that, I guess, can help. But they soon run into Hak Fu, who's also after the talisman. And I'm guessing Hak Fu is another villain from Jackie Chan Adventures. You know, it's nice to see Jasper and Horus finally get in a fight of their own. I mean, yeah, they fought in the gang war, but they weren't by themselves in that. And I will say, of all the Disney henchmen, I think Jasper and Horus are my favorites, along with Pain and Panic and Iago. Alright, Negaduck versus him. After losing to the Gangrene Gang, Negaduck goes into hiding, but soon runs into another Powerpuff Girl villain. Him. Like I said before, I hardly watched Darkwing Duck when I was a kid, but now I kind of wish I did watch it. It looks like a pretty interesting show. And Negaduck, along with the Fearsome Five, seem like pretty interesting villains. Especially when Negaduck gets out his chainsaw. And I never cared for Powerpuff Girls that much, so I don't know anything about him. Although from what I hear is that him is kind of a devilish type villain or something like that, if that makes any sense. But yeah. And now we have an interlude between Arukusaki and Cobra Commander, who they both plan to rid of Xanatos. We get it, your commander. Stop rubbing it in already. Anyway, Destro contacts Demona. And we're back to the fight. Continuing with Senor, and Senor Jr. versus Fuzzy Lumpkins. The gang try to form an alliance with the two Senors, but are rejected due to their grotesque appearance. Feeling insulted, they go off to find someone to rid of the Senors, and they stumble upon Fuzzy Lumpkins and decide to have him deal with them. So yeah, again, another Powerpuff Girl villain. I never realized there were so many villains in Powerpuff Girls and all. And that they're all so downright weird. I mean, seriously, Fuzzy Lumpkins, what kind of name is that for a villain? And like, what is he exactly? I mean, is he a Fuzzy Lumpkins? Is that what he's supposed to be? I mean, I don't know. And as for the Senors, I don't think I recall them. I know they're from Kim Possible, but I don't think I've ever seen an episode with them in them, so I don't know anything about those villains. But I'm guessing this won't be the last we'll see of the Senors. Alright, War of Dark Matter versus Lugnut and Blitzwing. Searching for more territory for Megatron, Lugnut and Blitzwing run into Dark Matter for that they are intruding on Zerg's territory. And I noticed you're using footage from the TV series of Buzz Lightyear's Dark Command. Like I mentioned before, I never really got into Transformers when I was a kid, unlike my brother. So yeah. Although I did like the movie, however. And this rivalry between Zerg and the Decepticons is pretty interesting. Alright, Duff Gilligan versus Walker. Orders by Xanatos and Draken. Owen sends Duff Gilligan to deal with a ghost named Walker, who is yet another Danny Phantom villain, just like Vlad Plasmius and Technus. Speaking of Technus, who we saw back in round 5, are we going to be seeing more of him? I'm guessing we are, because I'm guessing he has more than that much footage. I mean, yeah. I mean, we'll see more of him later on. And as for Duff Gilligan, I am familiar with him, even though I don't think I've ever seen an episode with him in it either. I've only seen a few episodes of Kim Possible, as well as the movie So the Drama. And I don't remember seeing an episode of Danny Phantom with Walker in it, because, like I said, I've only seen some episodes of Danny Phantom. Alright, Xanatos versus the Shredder. Cobra contacts Xanatos to have a meeting and form a truce. But unknown to Xanatos, it's really a trap. And he runs into the Shredder, which as we know is really Arukasaki. What's funny is that once they take off their helmets, they kind of look similar. I mean, their faces are similar, and they both have pretty dark hair, so yeah. I mean, you know, dark hair, that's what I meant, but... not pretty. Anyway, so, and I'm surprised that Xanatos lost and all, and that he's out of the war, at least for now. And also, I remember in the trailer that you showed this Shredder and the 80s Shredder. So, yeah, I'm just wondering, how's that going to work? Like, is something going to happen to this Shredder? Like, he's going to cross a dimension or something? Or, like, some kind of time paradox happens and he transforms into the 80s Shredder? Or something like that? I don't know. I guess we'll have to wait later on in the series to see what will happen. So, yeah. Alright. Now we have Mosenrath versus Devimon. Odin, and by Odin I mean the Disney Odin, hears about some kind of crystal, I guess, that is in the hands of Mosenrath, and he sends Devimon to go obtain it. Nice to see Mosenrath given more action. And, let's just say I don't have much to say about this fight, because Digimon I never really got into. As with many other anime series, it just never really interested me that much. I will say the only anime series I really got into was Dinosaur King. That I thought was a really good series. You guys might want to check it out to see what it's like. Because it's kind of similar to Pokemon, except there's actual dinosaurs in it, and there are cards. But it's still a cool show. I mean, it's only 2 seasons. But it was still a really neat show. It has a really cool story to it and all. Alright. And finally, Scar versus Mumm-ra. He wants to see how powerful Mumm-ra is. And he goes out to take out a faction leader, which is Scar. And very interesting, they're using the wildebeest music from The Lion King. Which is appropriate, because, yeah, Scar is in this fight. And, like with many shows, I've never seen Thundercats, so the whole ancient pyramid with the tanks and the planes and all that kind of confused me. And this fight just surprised me that I was hoping you'd give Scar more screen time in this series, but apparently you ran out of footage of him in the last war, and you just had to rid of him. Okay, I'll have to admit, that was pretty awesome. Seriously, I mean, there was an uproar on the forum that you got rid of Scar, because, you know, there are a lot of fans of Scar, even though he doesn't really do a whole lot in the movie. So I guess that's why it's so hard to give screen time in these series. And, like, originally back in round 13, during the all-out battle, you were originally going to have Scar's faction in it to fight the villains from the Land for Time movies, which that would be interesting and amusing. But apparently you guys couldn't do that for two reasons. One, I guess the whole big cat versus dinosaurs would have been kind of unusual and uneven. And also, some of those villains would be really hard to work with, I guess. I guess is why. But you know, it would still be neat to see at least a couple of the villains from the Land for Time movies to given some kind of screen time, besides Sharktooth. Sorry, my nose is a bit running today. But yeah, because, I mean, like for example, in the second Land for Time film, you have Ozzy and Strut, the two egg-stealing Shithia-minus. In the fourth one, there's Dill the Dinosuchus and her Ichthyornis sidekick, Icky. And in the ninth movie, there's that Liopluridon. And just to name a few. And yeah, as you guess, I'm a big expert on dinosaurs and other prehistoric animals, so yeah. And if you ever used Dill the Dinosuchus, which, you know, she's that giant crocodile from the fourth movie, which I'm guessing you're not, because you say you're not interested in the other Land for Time villains. But in case you do, what would be interesting is she fought Captain Hook, because, I mean, you know, Captain Hook having the fear of crocodiles, but imagine he encountered Dill, which is a Dinosuchus, which, if y'all don't know, is a 40 to 50 foot long dinosaur-eating crocodile. That'd be interesting. And I have this idea that, if you do, it would actually be Captain Hook and Monstro versus Dill. That I know you say you're not going to be using Monstro because he's just a whale, but what if Monstro somehow appeared in the fight? And I know in Disney Heroes versus Villains that they had Captain Hook summon Monstro, but in this, but what I'm thinking of is he doesn't summon Monstro. Like what happens is Captain Hook retreats from Dill. Dill thinks she's pretty much won, but Monstro is waking up during the fight, and then Dill encounters Monstro, and Monstro chases her off. So in a way, I guess Captain Hook won. I mean, he escaped, but Dill gets defeated by the whale. I mean, it was an idea that it might work. I don't know, but it may not fit in the story. You guys probably already have plans for Hook and all. It was just a neat. And yes, Scar's out of the war, like I said. And I wonder what mumm-ra has planned for the hyenas. And now for the Epilogue, where Cat Mansley is working on a secret project to capture many villains, like Jasper and Horace. And he's working alongside Robotnik, and Alpha from Men in Black, and Bishop from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Admiral Zhao, orders by Ozai, have created a barrier between England and the outside world. Ratcliffe calls in a meeting with two of his allies, Colonel Stockwhite and Count Rokoff, both Tarzan villains. And of all people for Krull to run into, she runs into you-know-who. I'm serious. When I first watched this round, I did not see that coming, because of all people for Krull to run into, it was Mach. And like, what does Mach have planned for Krull? I mean, what is... he wanted to do with her. That's what I thought at first, but then that question got answered in the next round. And Zira grieves over Scar's death and takes over his leadership, which Shere Khan is not pleased about. And I'm pretty sure History Buff asked the same question. That, in your trailer, you showed Don Carnage from Tailspin, which is another Disney show I used to watch a lot when I was a kid. And I'm guessing you guys might show the anthropomorphic Shere Khan, maybe? And I'm like, how are you gonna do that? I mean, is this Shere Khan gonna run into a, like, Disney magician or sorcerer or even a Disney mad scientist that will turn him into an anthropomorphic Shere Khan? You know, like he meets up with Dr. Draken or Dr. Doofenshmirtz and they turn him anthropomorphic and then they join forces or something like that. I don't know. It's an interesting idea, though. And I noticed that Ka is part of the Scar faction. I kind of figured he would. And I hope to see more of him later on. And Xanatos is in prison, if you could call that a prison. He's living the high life. And Stockman is in a wheelchair.
So that's what you look like when you're freezed. I've always wondered.
And without Xanatos, everyone else is wondering what to do. And there's Fox, who I think is Xanatos' wife, if I recall. And on Planet Z, Emperor Zerg has a roll call of his allies. Warhawk and Warmonga from Kim Possible, Warp Dark Matter, Gantu, Nosferatu and Gravatina from Buzz Lightyear's Starkman, and Hamsterville from Lilo and Stitch. So yeah, that was pretty epic. You're finally using Hamsterville, and I'm guessing we'll see the Leroys eventually. And I remember hearing on the forum that you were originally going to have Mitch from Phineas and Ferb be part of Zerg's faction, which that would have been pretty cool. But you apparently didn't have room for him. But I am hoping to see you guys use Mitch eventually, because even though he only appears in 2 episodes of Phineas and Ferb, well, technically 3, but only 2 of them he has a main villain. But yeah, he'd be pretty cool to see in this series. But I guess you'll have to first show Doofenshmirtz that he's the main villain in the Phineas and Ferb series. So yeah, this is my commentary for Disney versus non-Disney villains, Part 2, Round 6. And I will be bringing up the next commentary eventually.